Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situation and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mixing, race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6.
Still not ignorant.
Once again, once again, welcome to Situation and Circumstance. And I am your host, Mr. Classiq, aka ACE, another classic entertainer. And welcome. And you're back here with us at this is a 4-part series. This is the 3rd part of which. And today we're gonna, what did we talk about before, right? We talked a little bit about gender roles. We talked about natural versus nature. I think some of it got a little carried away, and that's what we want to continue to do here is get as carried away as we can be carried. And so, that's what we're going to do today, of course. And welcome. So one of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to talk about monogamy. When I say monogamy, some of you out there right now are thinking to yourself, what? I like my mahogany table. My mahogany table is real nice. No, monogamy. We're going to break down some of the gamis or gamis. But monogamy, seeing one, seeing many, polygamy or polygamy. So there's polygamy and then there's polygamy. Wow. So many agamies and ignomies. We're going to talk about all of them today on Situation and Circumstance. So hold tight. We're going to lead from there into a little bit of conversation about sex. And is it worth it to stay with your mate? Is it worth it to find a new one? Are the young doing something different than the old? And who are the old and who are the young nowadays? Once again, we're here at Situation and Circumstance on kcbzradio.com.
Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Monogamy, a breeding strategy in which 2 animals mate only with each other during a given period of time. 2 animals. I don't know, depending on how you look at that. They talking about us, they talking about animals. Is there a difference? I don't know. But I like that was the voice of a young lady expressing her views in such a way. Because for me, it feels like that's kind of the time we're living in, is like we're seeing the death of monogamy. And I don't say that in a way where, sometimes you become part of the strategy for those who are trying to make this happen by simply saying the thing that is happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so therefore, in doing so, you're kind of adding some popularity to the term, right? And so, but I say that to say it's happening right in front of us. Mm-hmm. It's right there. What's up?
Hello.
It's good to see you guys.
It's good to be seen, brother.
Yeah. So of course I'm with TBT, the finest, right? And this is Julius and Tionne.
Hello.
What up? What's up, everybody? We back. Okay.
What? He said more than one. That's
sorry for the delay, brother.
We
in this thing.
Wow. Well, hell, I might as well tell him this. Every second and fourth Tuesday, we sit in that sweet spot of perpetual metamorphosis layered with perspective all over the world. There is a situation and circumstance. And since we're here, and we're going to go into the monogamy thing, but I got to say this. Sometimes I get emails and I get text messages and different things about the show. And some of those things I like to mention when I have the opportunity. And I want to just speak to what someone had mentioned. They said that we seem to lean the things that we talk about some kind of way with black culture at some point, or being an African American, or Pan African, or any of these beautiful words, Israelite, whatever, all these different ways of describing our people. And to them, I say, well, our color will continue to lend itself to any of the differences in the lenses we use, as those lenses are the ones that we have. We don't know how to see it from any other lens. Mm-hmm. And so the intent is not to make anybody feel that the show is about one particular culture, but what it is about us talking about everything, being who we are while doing that. Mm-hmm. And so if for some reason at some point that makes someone feel a certain way, well, we invite you to continue to listen as we continue to metamorphosize into more of who we are and what we do. Having said that, Julius, what's up, man?
How you doing?
Hey, we talking about
polygamy.
Well, what are you thinking?
What you said is like we're kind of seeing the death of monogamy, and it's contrary, actually. Monogamy is relatively new when it comes to humans. It's only about 300 years new. During the Enlightenment period is when these thinkers said, okay, let's marry, let's join together primarily for love. But before joining a union was normally not just a 1-2 thing. It was normally a 1 and 5 thing, concubines and mistresses. So as far as polygamy, that's older than monogamy. So to answer like, oh, is this natural or is it unnatural? I think it's natural for whomever it's natural to. For me, it's natural. But I can't say it's unnatural for you to, identify with that activity or that ideology. It's kind of, I don't think that's fair to, just say it's straight up unnatural for humans to go this way or that way. So each his own.
So it sounds like you're saying it's actually natural to have choice.
Yeah.
In the matter.
Yeah.
Which that by itself, right? We could wear some shirts to say that about so many things. Go ahead and trademark that situation and circumstance. But yeah, what do you think?
I agree with Julius that whatever comes naturally to you, because I feel like a lot of people feel forced to conform to a certain lifestyle based off of their upbringing or whatever is instilled in them by society or the people around them. And with that, they kind of, it gets hectic. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why there's infidelity. I'm not saying that everyone who...
Wait, what's why? Which I know you're just stating this as one of the reasons, but what was it?
The people feeling like they have to conform to a certain way of living. Like, specifically in monogamy, people do sometimes cheat because they feel like they're pressured to stay with that one partner. And even if they don't kind of feel like subconsciously they want to be with that person, they're like, oh, I'm going to stick to this because this is what's right, because this is what has been instilled in me, and this is they have like more of a traditional way of thinking. I'm not saying everybody who's engaged in a one-on-one relationship in monogamy is going to cheat, because I feel like there are a percentage of people that can stay committed to one partner for life. But I feel like some people who are engaged in monogamous relationships do feel that pressure to stay in that relationship, and that there's one person that they end up with, and it needs to be that one person for the rest of their life.
Do you think age has something to do with this? And I specifically mean age today. So I don't mean, and maybe it always has
like
made a difference, but I'm saying
else?
that do you think that monogamy is disappearing at a higher rate as a result of things that are happening now, things that are, we know that the internet and social media and all these things are youth based. So their plan to do all these things are to get youth. Now, what happens from that is youth do it, and then some old cats do it. Then so many old cats do it that the youth go to something else. They stay there. Now they still one with the,
Yeah.
But all that to say, it's youth based, and so this is a concept. Do you think that it's a little bit more? Either of you, do you think that it's a little bit more prevalent in the generation, say, in their late teens and 20s?
I feel like our generation might be breaking away from the expectations that our parents and ancestors had set for us. We're breaking away from tradition, but I don't know, because I still do know people around my age that do believe in that, finding that one person and becoming monogamous and going through their whole phase, you know, and like kind of being with multiple partners and then committing to that one person. But I feel like overall we are thinking more about the past that have been set for us and kind of breaking out of those boxes a little bit more.
Well, in true fairness, I mean, pimping, there was more pimping back in the day than there is now. So to all them old people that's still, it was more pimping back then. So
you're saying if you're in polygamous marriage, you would pimp?
No. Well.
Good question.
I like that. Though. Let's open up the door.
Wow.
Well,
yes
okay.
Or no, brother?
Okay, so now you're going to make us have to talk about the differences between, pimping and macking, and there is a difference. And so here's what I will say. Let's see what time it is, because shit and shucks. Taki mushrooms.
Ooh, those are good.
Right? Who don't like
mushrooms?
shiitake mushrooms? And so, I'll say this to you in all fairness. So even when I think about pimping and I think about that and I play with that idea in terms of how we're going to treat this topic of monogamy because of this. So there are men pimps and there are women pimps, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I was talking to somebody about just the kind of women that I grew up with in my family. And they were max without calling themselves that, but that was my opinion, right? So when I seen things, I'll just give you a couple of examples. So if I saw something, I'm not going to say y'all name if you're listening, don't worry. But if I saw something like I saw my sister one time pretending to cry on the phone.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were strategic.
Very. But pretending to cry on the phone. Now, this is ancient times, but she pretended to cry on the phone in order to get a few things differently that she wanted. Now, that's something I would have never known, but I just so happen to have sisters and have, some monetary gain.
Ooh, child.
And I saw, I had sisters that beat up dudes. Right, and so if someone was bullying me, I went home and got my big sister. I didn't go get my, I went and got my big sister because she was gonna go down there and throw them things. But all that to say, I saw these little intricate ways at which some of the women in my life, I saw these intricate ways at how they played men.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying they played them and hoard themselves out, but still nevertheless played them. And I didn't have an issue with it. My question is, would you have an issue with it if I did it?
I like taking advantage of women. Because essentially they're taking advantage of men. So you're saying if the roles were reversed, would I have an issue with you taking advantage of women? I mean, if that's the lifestyle.
Well, would you have a problem with someone taking advantage of it if their background involves the teaching of said thing in a way that in a way that, so you kind of, maybe I shouldn't say teaching because it wasn't being taught.
Well, it's just like you've observed it, so that's kind of been your life. Because I was listening to a podcast recently where men who were like serial cheaters talking about that's what they've seen growing up with their dad. Their dad was a man who constantly brought women around. Even though they knew he had a main partner, they would see him bring women in and out. And so they were like, this is kind of part of my life. So I became a serial cheater. But that doesn't.
But that's why I say it a different way. That's why I'm being real particular about saying it in the way of that. It's one thing to. I think that's the story. Is that a man or boy sees the man out pimping and pandering and multi-choosing and all that.
My mom was
and
a Mac
oftentimes, I'm just saying, some of us are fortunate enough, but I'm just saying, it's not talked about that particular way though. Is
specifically
someone
for men?
Yeah, right.
Well, both sides. It's not both sides are talked about differently. For men, it's like player, and and women is like, oh, she out here hoeing, or can I say that? She out here riding around and getting it.
Yeah, we call that garden tooling. She was garden tooling.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because I would say my mom, I saw my mom hang out with a lot of guys. And growing up, because my parents were not together. By the time I was born, maybe when I was less than 1 year old, both of my parents had already split. I didn't even know my parents I didn't even conceptualize my parents were ever together until I was much older, and I realized, at some point my parents had to be together to make me. But like that was never something that crossed my mind. Like I just always knew them as separate people. And that was my mom, that was my dad. I never imagined them together. And both of them are people that kind of explored a lot with different partners, and I witnessed them being with different partners. But I originally wanted to still have the traditional find one partner, get married lifestyle, because I kind of like romanticized that, I guess, in my head, because I saw them with so many partners, and I kind of connected that to them being unstable. But it was like other aspects in their lives that made them unstable is what I came to find out. But originally it pushed me towards more traditional views because of them having multiple partners. But now it's changed.
Is that more, do you think that marriage is just a construct of
survival?
Well, we know it started as that.
Yeah.
That animals are still using that. So it started as that. So males were certainly here to procreate and get around in order to populate. But clearly, we don't necessarily need to still be doing it for that reason.
Yeah.
They're not on that scale. A friend of mine told me that the problem with stepping out isn't that you're stepping out. It's not about the act of stepping out. It's about the deceit that it causes.
Yeah.
You see that person just so happened to be here. He's shaking his head over there right now. He might not even be listening, but he just shook his head right at the right time. Yeah, it's about the deceit. And then another friend of mine, I asked him, how do you stay loyal so long like that? What's your trick to being loyal like that? What is it? And Mr. Lawrence said, well, I said his name because who wouldn't want me to say their name when they said something great? But he said, I just think about the pain that it would cause the people that I care the most about in this world. Yeah. He said, not just my wife and my kids, but also the parents who we've allowed to love these people that we've brought into their life. All right. So when I think about it from that, look.
Having multiple partners doesn't mean that you are deceiving anybody.
Well, if you don't tell them, then it's and usually so that's the difference between polygamy, then I guess, and just promiscuity.
There's polyamory, which is just like loving multiple people and being in a relationship with multiple people at once. Like there's people that are in thruples, like a girl and a guy and a girl, whatever, and they're all in a relationship together. And then there's people that like to hang out and engage in intercourse with a bunch of other people
which we call that promiscuity, right?
Yeah, but they don't necessarily have to tell each partner like, hey, I'm having sex with 2 other people right now, just so you know. But like you could say,
so does that somehow change it from being promiscuous?
I don't know. I feel like promiscuous has a negative connotation.
I felt like you did, which is why I actually know. And I threw it in there because I was like, all these other things got colorful names. It's polyamory and all that. So, I mean, why couldn't promiscuity is one, too. There are people who like to get out there and get down. They shouldn't have to be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
But it's the case. So I get it. It's not a fair hustle, right? I understand that a man who goes out there and sleeps with several women is only considered a hoe to other women. And since he doesn't care about that.
Sometimes he's not. Sometimes women like to see that, like, oh, he's been with so many other women.
Well, I'll put it like this. No guys are thinking of him that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not the same situation for women. Right? I'm not saying that's fair, but I get it.
I feel like it depends, though.
On the open-mindedness of who you say it to?
Exactly, the maturity and the open-mindedness. Because I feel like a man is mature who understands that a woman who is of a certain age will obviously have had a few partners, and a lot of men, especially men my age, are so pressed to to know the body count, air quotes, of another woman. Like her body count, she needs to be able to count how many men she slept with on one hand. It's like, as long as this woman doesn't have an STD and she's a good person, why does it matter?
Hey, I like practiced palaces.
Yeah.
But everybody is different.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
what do
I
you say it like that for? Why? What are your
Everybody.
views? Do you care about a woman's body count?
I used
I don't
to.
want to twist the topic, but
Yeah, definitely. I used to. Because it's like it's pride. You know, like we have a certain
as a man,
yeah, it's like, no, that's my woman. So there's
why do you have such ownership over her?
see, because then that's my when somebody say that's my man, nobody be like,
My
why you have
man,
so
it's
much
my
ownership?
man,
Yeah,
that's
like let's
true.
get into the
That
double
is
standards. So
true.
I'm gonna
If
continue.
there's a standard, that's a double one.
Right. So
Said
anyway,
double down.
Don't mess
that's a
with my
commitment.
man.
She's
Sorry,
a singer.
God.
We have a singer, everybody.
There's a lot of examples. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
I just think that's, again, this used to be my thought process, but yeah, no, you have this sense of pride over what you pick.
Okay.
You know, it's like I don't want a car. I'm not gonna buy a car that has tons of miles. There's a sense of pride of having that car at 1, 2, even 100 miles.
What does it
There's a
imply
sense of-
though, but that she got miles? Like,
Well, that was in
Oh,
a
he-
metaphor.
did you just-
It's ran
Yeah.
right, like it's
but what are the implications of her having so many miles? Like,
ran through, right?
yeah.
Like
what-
that's
what's the
that's
issue?
the,
So, like, why was at the time when you
Mm-hmm.
thought that way? Why was it so bad for someone to have had so many partners? Like, what do you think that says about this person?
oh well. Again, if you're with this person, there's a sense of pride that you want this person to just be yours. So that alone. So when you
What if they
figure
are
these
yours in
things
that
out,
moment?
again, it's pride. I dig your questions, but
Yeah.
again, it's a certain thing about pride that's like just unexplainable, or like you
Okay.
can't put it into words. Again, if you have a car, you buy a brand new car for a reason.
But you
Like it's more likely to last longer.
here's
right?
what's interesting
like
about
a woman.
that.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is that I think that if you like a car because of the way that it feels, it is certainly possible to buy something that has been used and get more enjoyment out of it than say something that's new. I want to say that I've been with new, and I actually prefer.
So miles.
I prefer now. See, once you said it that way, I don't want to just, but kind of
we
Some
on the-
frequent flyer miles.
But I'm not against. I'm not against. I'm not against either. But I like. Like I say, I like a practiced palace.
Yeah, and that's fair, but that comes with maturity. To your point,
Yeah.
You know,
'Cause
so
you
again,
said
I said I
that's-
used to think that
you're
way.
reformed.
So I'm trying to go back to when I thought that. It's virtually impossible to go back 3, 4, 5 years and like, how was I? I don't care about that
I
anymore.
hear that.
So how are you now?
Again,
Gotcha.
I'm the opposite of that. It doesn't like that. That's
Like-
not a topic of the conversation.
Kind of
It's
like
to your
you may
point.
not have
It's
wanted
like
a woman with kids at some point, but not you particularly, but a
Yeah.
person who maybe starts off because of their
That's
age.
a great yeah.
They're
That's-
18, they don't really want kids, and you do, or they
Yeah.
22, or whatever
Right.
that age might be. But then, and then
And-
someone else, that person they're with is
Right.
adult, they want them.
And like
Yeah.
to Tiana's point, like it doesn't really matter if she doesn't have that baggage. That if she's safe, and I don't have to know like everything that she did, but if she's not giving me something like a disease or whatever it is, how would I know if that was with one person or with 100? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the body count doesn't matter as long as there's no extra baggage that's coming with that.
Yeah.
However, I do believe
Which would
transferring
go both directions in that case.
Right. But as far as like transferring energies, I do believe that's a thing. And when you have sex with people who have that certain energy, that's the baggage. Even if she or he does not give you, say, an STD or HIV or whatever it might be, those things that she or he still might be carrying on to that type of baggage that you both might not see. And then it will be brought up later. Like, oh, why you like this? Or why you like that? And you'd be like, I don't know.
Like,
but then,
why you like your toes licked like that?
what?
This,
No, I
I
wasn't.
feel like this is the at least
I wasn't
second
thinking that
time you
one.
mentioned toe lickery. So
Wow.
clearly,
Second time?
It's an example.
It's
I
an
wasn't
example
spoken
you've
about
made
that.
twice. That's all I'm saying. Is,
No, but I do believe
1 + 1 is
that's
2.
a part of like the
Just saying.
the sacredness of having sex. Having like a partner. You want to
Yeah.
share those things with that one partner, and you like to think you guys are both equally yoked. You would like to think that. So when you are not, and say if you had say you had 10 bodies, and all of them you hate it. You would admit like, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, I would have.
That's the baggage that you're carrying on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Can we go back? You said equally yoked. What that mean? To the listeners that might be from somewhere where they don't say yoked. What does that mean exactly?
There's different
equally
interpretations,
yoked?
though. There's different interpretations.
What's
So not
yours?
coming from the biblical standpoint, okay? Just being equally paired. You don't necessarily have to be like opposites attract, not like that, but being on the same page, having the same type of.
I asked you that question. I sure thought something else. I'm thinking to myself, equally yoked, like both of y'all good in the bed and y'all both pleasantly.
But
You
that's
thought
the-
it too?
but see, there's different
I was thinking
interpretations.
like, no, but that's why I wanted to
interp-
know how you meant it.
Yeah.
That's important.
But no,
'Cause
that's
I thought
highly
you
important. No,
was-
you're right. I
yeah.
agree, because that can be, if you are not, that can be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you guys, if for me, it would be like, hey, you're pro-black. Some people like that's equally yoked. But if you don't care about that, if both people don't care about that, well, what it is, but you might be like, no, we need to have experience in the bed. To you, that might be equally yoked. So yeah, there's different ways to form that answer. What do you think?
I think it's time for yet another one of our beautiful selections here on KCBZRadio.com. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more of some of these igamies and agamies, polygamy, monogamy, and all that good stuff like that. All right. Once again, you're listening to KCBZRadio.com. You can reach us at 502.
Log on to KCBZRadio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at KCBZRadio.com.
Oh, yeah.
A real man.
A real man indeed. One who will always be there, and will spend and pay the bills. And I'm just thinking about different varying songs that I've heard. And I don't know what that necessarily has to do with monogamy, but I know it requires some of those things, and it's real interesting. You know what's interesting is, and we probably not even supposed to be talking about this right now, but just let's do it. Check it. The whole spending money on each other, like, and I for me, like when I look at you, so I feel like I'm asking the perfect person, right? Well, because the little while that I've known you, you seem very independent. It seems intentional. You seem like if you, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you seem like if you went out with a man on a date, you wouldn't necessarily expect him to pay, but wouldn't feel like you're, like I'm not pro-woman if I accept the money, but you don't also mind if offering to pay yourself, and you'd want that to be, right? So what about the flip of that? Like those who feel like, hey, you the man, buy me a whole bunch of stuff on Valentine's Day.
I think that's weird.
You think it's weird? Okay, you about to
have those expectations.
You about to spit a whole bunch of women off right now.
Sorry.
Oh, I probably could have said that word.
I mean, I just think it's weird to have that expectation. It's just like, it would be nice. It's not weird to be like, it would be nice to have some gifts on Valentine's Day. But you need to be giving something too then if you have that expectation of someone else. If you care about them enough.
Oh.
But you can't. And then there's like also a big thing with women my age is like getting flued out, you know, like they want a man, like if they want to see a man and have intercourse with him or hang out with him and he doesn't live in their state, like they want him to pay for the flight for them to see him. It's just like, so you want to see him too, right? And then it's mutual. So then you need to offer to split it. And if he does offer to pay for the flight, then okay, get flued out.
What if one person got it and the other person don't? And this person in this case happens to be the man and he don't have it to fly out. And then, but she does each time. So she flies him out every time.
I don't
know.
Now back home is don't have it.
That would be one of your, so his yolk would not have the right quantity of
I wouldn't
egg in it
expect
for
him
you,
to pay
right?
for me to do anything, but I also would not be involved if he don't got his financial together, honestly. And to some point, I don't want him to be, I don't expect him to be balling because I'm not rich, but like, you can't be out here struggling. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Struggle with a heart, or like if he's struggling but he got a good heart and a good soul and he's God fearing,
Right.
Does that matter?
You better go
If
work.
it's,
You better use all that, your great personality and get you a good job and save up some money and work on yourself. Get that credit score up, all that.
Wow.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Well,
Or,
you guys are just at different
now-
stages.
Well,
But
You
y'all
are.
like each other, you know? Like that, where does that play a part? Say if you guys, you know, he's not in a different state, just a different city.
Yeah.
And you both like each other, but he ain't got the loot. You do. You see him less other
I'm on
men.
like a whole nother level.
Well, if he can't afford everything that you would traditionally in this capitalistic world,
We can be friends. Hang out.
so would you
Go
expect the
have a
same?
picnic, walk in the park, all that free stuff.
Would you expect
Well,
the
I'm
same?
not about to get into nothing serious with you. You got to.
Would you expect the same?
oh, so you
If
have fun with him,
If it was
but
a man who was balling, like
Not even balling, but just he had the loot.
he was on that level, that I need to be on his level.
No, I'm not saying neither has to be on a particular level, but if he was in a better place financially than you,
Yeah.
but he was pursuing you,
Mm-hmm.
would you be like, hey, I'm not there yet. Let me catch up. Or would you be like, yeah, let's do it since we both like each other? Or would you be
that's a clear answer.
I would obviously be like, okay.
Let's do it.
Well,
See,
why you said, and you said
Yeah.
obviously.
So that's because that's
Yeah.
that's what you choose to do.
wow.
Me myself, I wouldn't do
Jesus
that.
Christ.
I
in
wonder if
groceries.
there's any women out there who want to call and disagree with any of that. If
Nobody
you
go
want to,
call in.
you can give us a call at 502-509-5229.
said, do
Again,
you,
that
huh?
number is 502-509-5229.
Wow.
And you may have even had a problem with what was said before that. So if you want to call in and give your feedback, you can do so at that number. Once again, 502-509-5229. Hey, I like it. Here's what I think. I think that's kind of hypocritical.
Oh, yeah.
Call me a hippo.
I didn't see, and let me tell you what I just did because the listeners can't see me. I didn't look at either person in the room when I said that. I just looked off into space and said it because I wanted to see who would have played which role and
we
what
know.
was hypocritical.
We know.
And clearly there's a part of you that could feel that tinge of crispy hypocrisy.
It's crispy.
Hypocrisy.
It's so crispy.
It's a crispy. You can feel it. I know you can. Right? And then that causes this other judgment because here's what I'm getting at is like the expectation then, right, for a man in these cases. And I don't even want to say just a man. I'm not saying that to say that there aren't other partners that are not men that may feel the same thing when they're with the same sex. I can't speak from that because I'm not. But I'm sure that exists. But my point is this. The expectations of a man in the way at which he takes care of a woman, I've noticed, is so varying from man to man. Mm-hmm. And it almost feels like women might feel like, why don't they get it right? But it's different for each of them. So how would he? Now you can get it right by getting with the right one.
Well, I had a job. It was the worst.
But if his
I
heart
think
was
that was
in
from
it, and he had hope, and
He was a nice guy, but I was tired of him being like, hey, like, you got this all the time. Like, no, I don't.
Oh, so he was a Tyrone. No offense to Tyrone. Mm-hmm. He was a Tyrone then.
He was. I'm like paying for groceries, fronting the bill, all that. Like, it's not for me.
But then
that's his fault.
If we could equally
so you ain't
do
against that.
It is his fault. You gotta
it's
get a
just
job.
not for you.
That's your fault. Actually,
Why
that's your
is it my
fault because you got yourself in that situation.
And I got myself out of it.
Yeah, right. So because you was like, you know what, I can't do that. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that was your fault though.
And I figured I'd rather engage in a relationship where the partner could at least assist in some of the bills, because there's moments where I don't mind. Like I've gone out on a date with a man and then went and paid the bill without him knowing, and then he was like ready and he was expecting to pay, and I was like, the bill's taken care of.
Oh, you liked him. You was after something.
Yeah, I liked him, but like that's different. If I'm just like
if
we're hanging out and we're just having sex,
Yeah.
then it's different. It's different.
You was in it for the long game.
Yeah, well, if I like you, it's different. Yeah, like my standards might.
Liking someone is the long game.
I don't know. You look like you got a look on in your face like, yeah, this is a trick question.
All right, you got a look on your face like I hope he ain't listening, or she. I don't want to.
No. But no, I just, if I'm just hanging out with somebody, like I said, and just like having sex and having fun with them, I feel like I'm down for just. I think my standards will vary. I mean, there's going to be a solid set of standards, like you have to be hygienic and things like that, but it depends on what level of hanging out we're at. But when it comes to like serious dating, he can't be broke.
And you're not alone in that. I mean, it's not like you're saying something that a bazillion people aren't. Well, we may not have a bazillion listeners, but a few million listeners. You know, they thinking it like, yeah, you can't be broke. I don't even have a problem with somebody thinking that. I have a problem if it can't be thought back. So I don't have a problem with any of the things I like. For instance, like I'm not one of those who believes there's anything wrong with a man having more than one woman. Did he say that? Yeah, it's the truth. I think it's something wrong if a man has more than one woman and he is stringing them along in such a way that, I know that you don't have to actually, here's a news flash for some of you gameless people. You actually don't have to lie to get it.
You don't have to lie to get it.
You might not get that one that you thought you could get, but you can get somebody that's just like that one with the truth.
On Earth.
It's just, you can. It's just the truth. And so I feel like, if you're going to have more than one and they all know, hey, I'm single, I'm doing this, or I'm not single, but you guys are all with me and I want you to only be with me and you guys are okay with that and I'm okay with that and you guys know the deal and I know the deal, then ain't nothing wrong with that. And in reverse, if a woman has multiple guys and she's balancing that and they know about it and regardless of what she's used, because you're not using someone that is okay with doing the deed. You're not using someone for money if there's someone who wants to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that? This is what to me. If they want to give, like, if I want to shower you with money, like depending on what state you from, is the difference between in the 90s. You went to a strip club. If you was in Atlanta, yeah, they was showering it. If you was out in the Bay. It wasn't necessarily, you might see somebody picking the dollars off the floor and putting them back in the panties again, that same dollar they put on the floor, because it was considered tricking. Then they came up with it ain't tricking if you got it. Yeah, if you from over there, but somewhere else. So all these things
it's tricking if you got it.
Nah.
And it's tricking.
It's tricking.
But
it's just
depending
tricking.
on where you from, it's not. I'm just saying, I'm not even
act,
from that.
Right? It's the act that's tricking, not the if you have it or not.
Well, it depends. If you were a king, you would have all kind of concubines and all that living in the palace with you. You're paying everything that they're doing.
I feel like a trick
You're
is
paying
someone
for
who
it.
just can't get it.
So are you a trick? You're paying for it.
I think
that's a trick. Because, I mean, the rappers who say this stuff, they're in some eyes kings, right? They have all of this loot. They have all of these mansions. They have all of these cars similar to a such king. T.I. was like, it ain't everybody know it ain't tricking if you got it. What?
But where are you?
Bro.
But ain't you from the West Coast?
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
What does that have to do with
that? What that has to do with
brother.
it is the mentality of the West. You don't come from the backs of people who felt that way. You come from the backs of people in the West, especially if you look at the early hip hop here. We weren't talking about spending money on women that way in the early hip hop of here, which means in the sub. Hell no, he wasn't talking.
Born to Mac.
Too Short wasn't talking about spending money on them unless it was for them to go out there to get something that would make him more money. That's what a pimp would do. He go spend $200 on her dress or $800 or $8,000 on her dress if he gonna get $150,000 because he spent $8,000 on it. So yeah, in that way, but not in the way of people simply just feeling like you're paying for like. I saw especially in the Bay Area, it is still happening. I saw in the Bay Area where there was a point in time where, okay, men was pimping and hustling and all of that. And then I seen it turn into women doing it to the guys, like macking them. Like, difference between pimping and macking. Pimping is for this big dough, and macking is getting gifts. So a mac is just somebody who out there, and with his or her way of speaking, then your rent is getting paid, and you get new suits and shoes and maybe some gold and different stuff. That's macking. Pimping is you orchestrating and controlling a situation or a person in order to make money. Period.
So a pimp is a Mac, but a Mac is not necessarily a pimp.
There you go.
Ooh, you sound like a pimp right there.
Look at you. Hear what he said? And his voice had a little different twang to it.
Wow.
All right, dude.
Let's sell a pimp. You dig?
Yeah. Well, thanks once again for listening in on KCBZRadio.com. And what's the other? KCBZRadio.com. And you guys, can they hear that? Can you hear this? This is lightning, or do it sound like paper? And of course, you can also reach us at
502. Is that you talking about? 502 509 52.
Oh, we don't. Oh, there you go.
KCB.
502-509-K2.
Okay.
5229. Okay, put that down and slide that glass over there. Y'all didn't hear that. All right. And so, monogamy, I think we kind of just wore that topic all the way into the ground. It appears to me that it just really has to do with what you're looking for and just being honest to that person. So if you're with somebody and you know that, I think that's the yoke thing that was being mentioned earlier. If you're with somebody and you know that they have these certain expectations, and some of them aren't going to be exactly the same as yours, but there's a balance in making sure you're honest and open with somebody. And whether that just be for a sexual encounter or whether that be for something that's long and lasting, it is how you said earlier about being in the same page and the same book and hanging in there. I just don't feel like I see it a lot in the youth now. I see a lot of people that just give up easy as soon as something ain't cool no more.
I agree.
They throw in the towel. Do you notice that too? Within,
Well, is that a bad thing?
Definitely.
I don't know if it is
Because what
or
if we're
not.
just like on the pursuit of happiness? Like, I know that with happiness comes.
That's cute.
I know with happiness comes struggle. Like, there's nothing that you can do that is going to be completely fulfilling and you're not going to have any struggle. But I feel like our generation is quick to be like, this doesn't really serve me as like I thought it did, and move on to something else. And that's like, sometimes it's going to take a lot of partners to do that. And I feel like I was saying earlier, traditionally people found that person in middle school, high school, early 20s or whatever, and was like, I'm just going to stick with you. Even when the wheels have fallen off, I'm still rocking with you. Even if we hate each other, we're on different sides of the house, I am still rocking with you because I'm so committed. Like, look at me, I'm such a good person because I'm so committed to this one person and to my family.
And then I always thought, like, I've seen just both sides of that. I've seen the people that were together since high school in these monogamous relationships, and I've seen that work seemingly beautiful from out. You never know what's going on inside of the home, but seemingly beautiful. And then I've seen that just be completely destructive from not having that opportunity to be able to have saw what other partners would feel like, right? Yeah. And even for me, that's absolutely helped me. I know what it's like to smell flowers, and so because of that, I'm able to better enjoy a strong tree full of flowers, right? I'm able to enjoy just that one, and I can do that without feeling like I need to smell it, but that hadn't always been the case. But it turned into that because long ago I got to
explore. Yeah.
So I think that there's something to exploring, but and then of course safely and all of that. But I also, so where does religion play a role in that? Where does society play a role in that? Where does your parents' belief system, because your parents want grandkids.
Well, religion,
so then there's that.
Religion plays a huge role in that, depending on the religion, obviously. And the Christian religion is just like a man and a woman. Man is a head of household, and that's what you got. You have kids, and you stay with each other, and you ride it out no matter what.
Well, and there's parts of most religions have quite a number of sections that where different things were explored. But there again, it was a different time. Mm-hmm. And so to what you're saying, Tionne, is that to me it feels like, it absolutely feels like if this is the time that we're living in where people aren't getting one mate and staying with them forever, I kind of feel like who am I to say that they should be?
Yeah.
To some degree, because I do also feel like there was other reasoning behind why we did lots of things. There are cultures there, contrary to what some belief systems are, there were cultures where they were absolutely ran, plenty of them that were ran by women. And even with doing that, there was a reason why they were restricting certain things from happening a certain way, and why it just made more sense for one thing to be what it was as opposed to the other. I just haven't found where that makes sense here. So I don't know if it, like, I can't talk for if it makes sense in some of the other countries that we reach, but I just wonder if it makes sense here in America. When
polyamory and polygamy?
Any of it besides promiscuity. I actually kind of respect that one the most, because...
So you think that in an American Western
aside
society,
from monogamy.
in a developed Western society, you believe that people should be, or that you agree more with monogamy?
Now I'm contradicting my damn self.
So why?
I agree more with monogamy for me and from a certain standpoint. So I do believe that I do believe in monogamy for the ways that you can read in the dictionary, right? It's going to say something about the children have a better chance of coming up a certain way if they have the support of both parents there. Mm-hmm. Not to say that both parents couldn't figure out another way, but just one of the aspects of monogamy that causes it to work. We're in a society where certain of our Americans, that being women, can't feel safe to walk around, and so always having someone there, that other person as a strength, whether that's another woman or man in that case.
Right.
That part of it, there's safety in it. That's the only reason a female lion needs the male, is because she's physically weaker than the hyena, right? And the male lion can kill it, and so she needs him.
Men being around, and it makes women feel safer, because like no woman can walk down the street anywhere without getting honked at, without getting whistled at. Can't walk down the street for 10 minutes without that happening. So I can see that.
Which is messed up.
That's why you gotta flip them.
It's like you said, it depends
but
on.
those are gifts of monogamy, just to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it depends on the motives behind that marriage, quote unquote, right? Like that joint between the two or others. For example, building a black nation. Right, you need kids, you need offspring. Who's to say that men and women can't just have tons of kids with each other, or that community, and everybody plays the dad, everybody plays the mother, and then it just grows bigger to form a black nation. Whereas it's just a mom and dad, one mom, one woman, one male, and they have 2 kids. And then they're waiting for their kids to have kids, and they're waiting for their kids to have kids. But who's to say, like, 5 men can't just spread their seed around tons of women? But as long as they're on the same page and they're both playing the same role, they're all bringing something valuable to that idea of building. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Yeah, it takes a village, right?
Saying that the polygamy is okay. You can see a way where that works.
Yeah,
perfectly.
and I think that's how it was done before. Marrying primarily for love was done. It's like, okay, you got this land, I got this land, boom. Your daughter is this daughter, my son is this son, boom. So they had a vision. So if you have a vision that everybody's on board, I wouldn't necessarily have like an issue with that. But everybody has to be on board. And I can see why everybody wouldn't be on board with having tons of kids with tons of women, because emotions plays a part and financial plays a part. Like, oh, I got enough money for 3 kids, but damn, I didn't know we was about to have triplets.
Like they doing in Utah, or what's the state?
Yeah, the Mormons.
The Mormons.
Yeah,
but they got like areas where they have if it wasn't for this other this other level of weirdness that ends up happening in these places. Some of those places don't seem bad, right? Where they got like the whole little, they have like a town in the middle of the oasis or whatever, and they done built it from the ground up, and they got a school and all that. And then it's the man, he got plenty. All the women are, you know, but then there's always like this. Then there's something weird that always be there that ends it. Yeah. Like it always be some other like
incest.
Yeah, incestual, or the guy is he having the oysters and the sticks, or he's, you know what I'm saying, he's doing the different. I'm just saying he's doing all the things, and it's just or he's using God in a weird other alternative way just to do this other thing, as opposed to, I could see that working with somebody who's meant for it to be what that could actually be if everybody's on board with it. But then I think about this. If you're a kid and you grow up in one of those places, what kind of choice did you have? Because there again, you grew up seeing this as your truth. Right? So if you grow up in a whole town that's made by this one man and everybody's his kids, and then you grow up as kids in that town and with 5 mothers or 18 mothers or whatever, well, that seems normal to you.
True. So
is that fair to the child? Because that does remove part of the choice. But does it? Because if he wasn't in that situation, then he would be in the choice that America gave, which is still forcing a choice, or right, or your household gave, or that they gave at the church, or that they gave at school, or whatever it might be. Where does that end?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, when I said that, I wasn't thinking just on like one man, 10 women. You know,
like a bunch of men.
Just like everybody who's for, I don't know. And this is hypothetical, but say you and your people, you have this idea of building a black nation. And then you have women who you're not necessarily emotionally tied to. She's dope. You know what she can bring to the table. But you have another woman who, again, you don't necessarily want to be with, but you know she has something else to bring to the table. And then you have a dude who might not be licked toes. Okay, but he brings something to the table. But he brings something valuable, right? He might be a great, he might build houses. You're like, okay, well, I can see why that's valuable to our mission. So not necessarily one man, you know, just sprouting out things like that, but like a community. You start off as a community and then you build from that community, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I when the depth that we can go into this makes it all feel in some way like it makes sense. Because the one thing that's for sure about being a human is that we all have a different way of thinking about things. So there are certainly some commonalities, but there's so much difference that then if your truth is based on a majority of what everybody thinks, then that's a problem. Because the majority could be wrong, right? So then there's that risk. But then if it's based on your own independent way of thinking, then it could seem like your independent way is some kind of way only right to you, but you're going against, like, people always attach the way that they believe to something bigger than them so that it gets the whole society following it, right? So monogamy is right because it is said in books that people respect as a method at which they can get to a higher power, right? So there's that, and that's a pretty big deal. But then for me, it's always been that part of it that is tied to religion versus the nature, right, of who we are as humans. I would have, prior to today, maybe I would have said as men. But I like what you're saying and agree with what you're saying, Tionne, about everyone should be equal in their igamies or their promiscuities or whatever it is. And it shouldn't actually feel like, if you're saying a woman is promiscuous, it shouldn't feel any different than saying a man is promiscuous. I don't know how we necessarily get there, because it seems like every time we take a word out, we just take another one and put it there, and it becomes the new that.
Yep.
And so, like, you get retarded, and you get mentally challenged, mentally ill, you know, all these different things, and each one becomes the new negative.
Right.
So there's that.
Why would we just not call it?
Not call it, just do it.
Call a spade a spade.
But humans, like, we kind of have to. It helps us understand things when we have a name for it. So I can see why we would have something, but obviously in a perfect world for me, we wouldn't have a name. We would just, it'd be just a way of life, and that's how it would be. Yeah.
That ain't
like
happening,
this
Captain.
person. No, it's not.
Just not. Sorry.
Well, that was what Thoreau wanted, right? Henry Thoreau, the famous philosopher, he wanted, his belief system was that if we worked at it, human beings could get to a point where we're able to live in an empathetic and conscious world where we don't need to be policed and these kind of things because of where we're at. I believe it can happen. I just don't know if it can happen with the amount of people who are here now. But sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes given a great catastrophe, it forces that kind of movement. America was all under one flag and united when 9/11 happened, even though we shouldn't have been, because they lied about what that was and all the whole, you know, and showed them dancing in the streets, and that was a lie. But anyway,
I don't know if polygamy is gonna be a thing, like a trend here in America. I think that polyamory is gonna be significant because I already know, not personally, but like I know of, and I follow a lot of people that already participate in open marriages and relationships, like people who have kids. Like there's a fetish trainer that I follow named King Noir who's married to another fetish trainer and named Jasmine, and they're married. They have kids together and they have sex with other people, but they're married, and like they keep, you know, certain things for themselves and certain things sacred, but they like to have sex with other people together and separately, and they're both fetish trainers, so they like
What is a fetish trainer?
Thank you, dude. My eyes were saying that.
Oh,
Could you see it? I was just waiting on a second to say
someone who
it.
like teaches people about different fetishes and also helps people realize their fetishes. Like maybe they like to be touched on their forearms, like, you know, just like you basically pay them to help explore those things, and they kind of like become an expert in it, like the master of how to like flog someone or spank someone versus like just having sex with someone and you're just like spank me. No, like they have like learned and train themselves on how to like spank someone in a way that would
trainer a long time and didn't even know it. I got another thing to add to my list.
You make some money.
I didn't even know. I've been a fetish trainer for hella long.
You should look above King Noir, or if you're more comfortable looking his wife up, Jet Setting Jasmine.
Wow.
But
thank you.
All right.
Of course, but I was just saying that to say that I know of a lot of people that I follow through the media, like podcasts, that participate in open marriages and actively participate in open relationships. And there's one girl who's even in a relationship with another woman and a man at the same time, and they all like hang out together. They all go on vacations together. They call each other, but they don't live together.
You can't do that, Julius. You can't have like you and your girl and another girl, and y'all go out to I don't know.
Yeah, it's a specific type of lifestyle, but I definitely think that it's on the rise, and I don't see it polygamy, like someone having multiple wives or husbands. I feel like it's too complicated, especially just like as far as legally and like just separating everything, and I just don't see people putting themselves through that.
Yeah,
but
I see that.
I definitely see people participating in open relationships.
I mean, you mean like publicly, like more publicly,
walking
because that's
together,
happening.
holding hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see them doing it publicly, and I can see people being open to just like dating people long term.
Well, to me, it's inevitable.
What?
That all that's going to happen. Or it is happening and will happen in a bigger way.
Yeah.
Because we keep in mind we're a young country, and so there's other countries where that's already the case.
We are a young country.
Well, we are a young. America
Okay.
is a young country.
Just want to make that distinction.
Okay, America is a young, named after Amerigo Vespucci. That America is a young
Because your boy.
country,
No,
not the
continue.
one that the Moors were here with,
Okay.
and and all of
just
those
have to-
original people, and the
I'm sorry.
hominids and
Just-
the Pithecuses and
Thank
all
you.
of that.
Because this ain't
That work
ours.
for
It's
you?
not a we thing. But continue.
All right. Once again, he done turned it black. I just said that in case somebody, one of them listeners, was listening like, there they go, turning it black again. Everything gonna lead back to that.
It does.
It's our experience.
Oh, and then I used my sarcastic black high-pitched voice just did, so then there's
That's
a
your black voice.
cliche. Yeah. It's my high-pitched, my seasoned high-pitched. What you talking about? That one. That's my one when I make fun of us. Hey,
Wow.
when other people do it, I don't like it, but I can do it if I want.
So what are your ideal situations as far as like in a perfect world, how would you have your relationship set up
Mine?
at this point in your life? Yeah, both of you. You being someone who's been who's married, and you being someone who's a young single man. Like what would
Good
be your,
looking. You got to add that part. That's
Okay.
part of the equation.
Well, then she gotta say, good-looking married man when she said mine.
No, good looking single man.
If
Okay,
she gotta add a
good
before
looking
thing
single
Oh.
Okay,
man.
whoa.
It plays a part. Okay, but anyway, for me, I'm a one man woman. I'm a one woman man. That's not something that I can get out of, right? That's just who I am. And I started off by saying earlier this show, it's normal for those who find it normal.
even now? So right now, like
Yes.
at this age, you believe that
Yes.
you're on your search for your one woman, not actively,
didn't-
but like
yeah.
you would be okay with
Correct.
meeting a woman and sticking to her and being
Yes.
with her for the rest of your life.
Age doesn't have
potentially.
anything to do with it for me. I
For
think
me.
you have to go into relationships with standards. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't find those standards once you're in that relationship
And
because
you don't
it's
think
bound
it's
to.
necessary for you to kind of like really figure out what you want out of a relationship by exploring with multiple
That's
partners.
not necessary. No, you know if you know, you know. You know, it's like you have to eat a food one time to be
But how
like,
do
yeah,
you
this is
know
some
what you
good
don't
food.
know? That's all I'm saying.
Well,
But we're different. You're asking me, and I know what I know, right?
Okay.
Like that's not something that I have to.
You could have ate a bad fruit.
You could have. And again, I'm answering the question, right? Like this is, but if you know, you know. I don't think you have to strike out 80 times and be like, you know what? I'm going over here. Like I know I'm gonna marry a black woman. I don't have to have relationships with white women and Asian women and Latino women
What about
to
multiple
know
black
that.
women?
But again, I know what I know. So at the end of the day, it will be a black woman. But I don't have to your point, you don't think you have to experience all of these other, explore was your word, to figure out that. I
So
don't
if
have to
you find
explore
your
other
one
races.
black woman and you're like, wow, she's really dope. I mess with her the long way. Then you would just be like, all right, lock it down, clink. Like that's it.
Yeah, that's
For life.
For me, yes.
Okay.
It has,
Yeah,
for me, it has nothing to do with
see,
age. It has more to do with like a mission. Like what do you want from your life? It has little to do. You could ask me that at 50 or 15. I knew this going into
That's real cute.
being attracted to women. When I found my attraction to women, when I realized it was like, yeah, I want a woman.
Okay.
So, but we're
No, and that makes a difference because, and we talked about this quite a while back, but depending on where you were when you first were attracted to whatever you're attracted to has everything to do with right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just think like whatever age you were and whatever that thing, there's something that happens that, that causes attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like elementary school, and it was like, I was in elementary. I was a little kid as well.
Wow. This
Let
is
me
when
make sure I
Jesus was
say
here?
that. Maybe. Yeah, well, some hoes back then too. And so, garden toolers. And so, no, real talk. When I was in elementary, I remember when a boy would see, and particularly me as a boy, if we seen a girl's panties, that fascinated. It was fascinating, and it drew interest. And I remember seeing, this was in elementary, I remember seeing as growing up in elementary through middle school, through high school, I remember each time seeing these different things that could take me back to these same points of, oh, I liked that. I also feel that can happen in all the varying ways. So I do believe a little boy can see a little boy's drawers or whatever, that thing that when they first found attraction to something, that's what they saw and it aroused them a certain way. And every time they seen something that was in this vicinity of that, it turned them on. I think we all, I think that's what it is. So for me, having said that, my answer to your question would be that I'm extremely enthralled with passion about the relationship that I am involved with my wife. As such, if my wife came to me and said, husband, I saw this beautiful woman at the supermarket, and so I decided to add another pillow to the bed. Well,
say no more, huh?
Say
no more,
I
baby.
probably would make sure that my wife was happy in her decision making.
Yeah, but would that make you happy in turn, or are you just doing it for her?
I think I've been very clear in what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm saying this in a way where I'm not suggesting that she does it, and I'm also not discouraging it on air.
All right.
You know, and those who know me know what's happening.
And see, that's something that I believe must be relayed early in a relationship. I believe. You know, like if your wife came to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, like if your wife just was like, hey,
let's get with other people.
Yeah.
Sexually, but emotionally, my emotions are reserved for just you. But sexually, I would like to experience.
Well, but then there's an if and a but to that.
What's the but?
The if and a but is, I do agree wholeheartedly. Like, I'm a big supporter of, let me let you know what's happening with me off top. That's what I like about you in the toe lickery. Like, let somebody know. And I'm not saying
now it's connected to me.
And I'm not, it's connected from now on, right at this point. You said it on another show too. So But yeah, just like you said with that, like I ain't saying you're supposed to say everything that first date, but I'm saying at some point you're supposed to make the person that you're with, make them feel comfortable about sharing these things, and it's only going to help you because then you get to discovering what you guys both like. So there is something to that, but I think that the but it is possible for a person later on to have an idea that they wouldn't have had then because they may just not even have been aware. And then it happens like while you was down there, when you was down there a little bit lower than the oyster, but you know, in this area, it felt kind of nice. It got me to think about what if it was a little lower? What crack is it? Right? And so then you all of a sudden, to some people,
Crack
but some people,
I was talking about the drug. What are we talking?
Booty. We can say booty on here.
Booty
I'm
crack.
talking about for people that
talking
devour
about
the booty.
Got you.
Old girl got a son. She ate the booty like groceries. So I mean, everybody talking about it. It's like everybody want to try booty now. They want to. They want that deluxe. That you know, that delicacy.
Let's blame
That's what they
Janae
want.
Aiko.
Janae Aiko.
Yeah.
What I
You
say?
gotta eat the booty like groceries.
Right.
To
That's
blame her.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Blame her. She just said something we was all either thinking or having done. Not myself. I don't, it made me uncomfortable when
Definitely
somebody
smart.
tried. Like, no, I felt uncomfortable. Nah, I don't like you down there. It ain't doing the aroused thing.
Need a couple of whiskeys and you good.
Oh my God. That's it, huh? That's all it takes.
Right. There's some whiskey, and hey, if you give me some whiskey, you can lick my.
Wait, can I talk about my ideal situation?
I thought you was gonna say, "Can I talk about?"
Me too.
Go ahead.
My butt crack? No.
Right. Tell you about my crack. That's a little bit.
Let me tell you all about my crack. But for my perfect situation at the age of 25 is I think that I've been only in 3 serious committed relationships of at least a year each. And I feel like personally with my experience that I've learned about myself that I need to have time to explore different people and to really develop an understanding of what I want out of a relationship. And I haven't completely formed whether I I am a person that wants to be with one person for life, or if I want to have multiple partners. I don't know that. I've only had one partner at a time, but I feel like at this stage of my life, I'm going to spend a lot of time exploring other people, and not just sexually, just like spending time with people and deciding what my boundaries are too. And I'm also practicing being more assertive in the dating scene, because men can be they can come on really quickly and hard and be invasive. And like, it's easier for me coming up as a woman to just allow it to happen rather than put my foot down about certain things. So I feel like I want to give myself the opportunity to explore different people in order to really find out what I want and who I am. And I don't think I would be able to have that opportunity if I continued staying in my comfort zone and stayed with one partner for the rest of my life, even if they're an amazing partner. Because like, I feel like there would always be that what if. And even in my most recent relationship, he's only been with one other person besides me. And one of the reasons why we called it off, and we both called it off mutually, but one of the reasons I called it off is because I don't think he's been with enough women. And he always says, like, I would be with you now for the rest of my life if you wanted to do that. But I don't want him to do that, because I want him to be able to understand what he really wants by being able to explore other women in all ways.
But that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So do you think it's selfish to impose that idea of what you want of exploring on him, because he's telling you what he wants?
I don't think it's selfish, because I feel like, I don't know, I personally don't know if he knows what he wants if he hasn't even had at least another person.
But if he's telling you,
he's so young.
Because if a dude tells you something like, listen, this is what you got to do, this is my idea on myself, but you as well, so I'm cutting it off. Don't you think that would be a bit I believe it's selfish, because that's what your dating scene or your life.
Yeah, my preferences are already set.
Yeah, and he's telling you what it is.
I just feel like it's too. He don't know. I feel like it's like when you see a 15-year-old in a relationship with another 15-year-old, and they're like, well, but we're in love. Like, this is gonna be my man for the rest of my life, and everyone's around you like, sure, like you can believe that, but it's possible, and it's very likely that it won't, because because as an older person, you have experienced a little bit more in life. And so you understand what happens, that things change, people grow apart, and you may feel like that in the moment, but you don't really feel like that. And I want to give him the opportunity to understand how he actually really feels. And in a few years, after he explores a couple women and he's like, I was right, I really do want to just be with you, then maybe we can revisit that topic. But personally, I don't think I have really had the chance to establish what I want out of relationships, because I haven't dated enough, and then I just want to give him that opportunity to do the same.
So to me, it sounds more about you though, which is fine.
Oh yeah, definitely it's about me, because
he wants what he wants,
that.
right? Like he wants what he wants, and he's telling you.
Yeah.
But you're not there.
Yeah, but
and it's not to say that there's a particular place.
Too.
No, of course, and that's the dope thing. Yeah, that's the dope thing. But and I'm not saying there is like the ultimate place, because it might not be there for you.
Yeah.
But it just seems like you both.
Because it's possible that he finds another girl right after me, and he ends up being with her for the rest of his life. And then I'll be like, that's great, and you found her. Like, that's amazing. You're a great person. But I'm still going to be happy that I got a chance to.
Yeah, no
and I
doubt.
don't even know, like, I'm 25 years old, and, like, a lot of people are like, all right, well, by the time you're 30, you should be with someone that you are going to be with for the rest of your life. But I don't know if I even see myself doing that. I might still be dating when I'm 30.
That's dope.
I'm a young tenderoni.
Okay.
I think it's dope. And so what I'll say is that I think that what's important, and that has interweaved in all the things that we've said today, is kind of that part of being open and honest and being yourself all the way through it, and expressing that and having that conversation, and wherever that may take you. But just being open and honest with each other throughout all of it, even if you're after money. If you're after sex, whatever it is, it's out there. Somebody's out there to give you any of those things. And so just be honest until you find that one that's there to give you what you're looking for. Until then, as always, we appreciate you for checking in with KCBZradio.com. And we promise our listeners that we will continue to make beautiful mistakes We embrace the opportunity afforded by our ancestors to speak, whether right or wrong, weak or strong, we be learning humans, working on liberation and scaffolding a meaningful and fair existence for all. Till the next time, my netches. Sayonara.
Adios.
Oh, you know a little bit of
Paquito.
You just going to read. Now, see, that's what that was.
What's wrong with
You was just
Paquito?
trying to outdo because I did
What's
my
wrong with
Japanese.
Paquito?
So what you got? What you got? You
She
got
said
a
ciao.
different. Oh, that's.
That's Italian, ain't it? Or
I
something?
don't even know.
Multiple things.
Oh.
Oh.
What's
I
the
think
first thing
it's-
that comes to mind?
I think it's
I thought it was
Italian, and I'm pretty sure people who speak Portuguese say it too.
Obrigado. Now you see how I just hit y'all with
Au revoir.
I didn't say anything.
All right,
Yeah,
y'all.
yours not so much. Oh, all right then. Is that what you said? All right then. That's how Tip talk. He talk through his teeth. He'd be like, all right.
love
And let me
DIP.
just tell you, and I'm with
DIP,
Tanya.
coming live from
And yeah,
DIP.
Tanya escaped. That's me. I'm with her. And I talk through my teeth because I'm Tip T.I. You can always sound like him if you just talk through your teeth.
T.I.
But you got to add a very big word. While you say it,
Yeah.
you know, you have to add like a
It's
4-syllable word.
clandestine. He talk. They got this show, man, on whatever it is with him and Chance the Rapper and what's her name that
Cardi.
Cardi
yeah.
B, and it's not a bad show. It's a hip hop show, and they rap and do all the battle each other.
Okay.
They trying to find the next whatever. It's real cool because it's down to earth. Like you could tell, in some parts it's lacking interest because it's not. Because you could tell they don't got people writing it for them and whatever. They just coming in and being them. But that's also the part that I like, that I could tell they just coming in and being like, okay. Like, and you could tell someone told them that. Like, Tip, I think, is running, and he probably said, just come in. I don't care if you come in your robe and you eating a bowl of cereal or whatever. Just come in and let's do that. So I kind of dig that. They got a couple of good artists on there, most of which I slaughter. No, I'm just talking.
Wow.
I'm just talking. I don't be rapping. I don't be rapping for people no more. But I can.
Get 'em.
And say you don't want to battle.
Yeah, you don't want to battle me, knuckles. We gonna do that on the show one of these times. We'll have some people call in and spit something.
Battle.
We'll just have some fun for 15 minutes, and then
They got
I
all
won't get
bars.
in the competition. I'll just let them hear me, just so they, so they can feel good about the fact that I wasn't in it. That's gonna help them in their. Wow. Yeah. Domino.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mix and race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s, KKK or white privilege, old spirits, blood riches, real hatred, fake forgiveness, skinny image, fat problems, I don't really know how we solve them, gods made us, kings gave us, 2 enslavers, 2 enslavers, castaways on railways, underground dark web pages, Marvel heroes, connect the zeros, connect the pharaohs, bone marrow, Egyptian princes, dark and ancient, preserve the patience, black and Haitian, white and Asian, British coaches, eat crustaceans, ocean roaches, Illuminati, inject the bodies, GMOs, drug hobbies, Aboriginal, Pan-African, old biblical, reincarnation, hip-hop playlists, vocal rangers, sexist wages, sex changes, the game of life, bullets fly, ruin nights, players clueless, kids' rights, humans fight, nature loses, hard of hearing, dolomite, Darwinism, Garvanite, hates a virus, terabytes, hard to live with, parasites, come on!
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance.